all rights reverse techniques. And one of the things that I find so fascinating is that there's now a whole movement of free software and free culture that is essentially partially descended from Discordianism. Well, I want to talk about a band called the Jams. In 1987, and I'm going to play a sample for you in a minute, but in 1987, this group, the Jams, they grabbed their name, by the way, from the Illuminatus trilogy, published this album called 1987, What the Fuck Is Going On? And one of the songs was called The Queen and I, and it uses an ABBA sample. So let me play this for you so you can hear what I'm talking about. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay. I'm trying to double click it. I guess I'm getting jammed too.
Yeah, it's up in a notebook. It's muted, perhaps, in the OS.
Yeah, I don't think it would be.
All right, well, while he's trying to figure this out, I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about it. It uses an ABBA sample called From the Dancing Queen, and it really pissed off ABBA. There was a huge, huge lawsuit, and because of this, the Jams said, all right, screw you guys, and changed their name to the KLF, which stands for the Copyright Liberation Front.
Give me a second, I'm going to do it manually.
Okay, so this will be 1 second. We're going to pull this up manually here so you can hear what we're talking about. But the KLF have become kind of media pranksters in general. One of the things that's bizarre about them is in 1992 they erased their entire back catalog. Not only that, but they actually took their entire earnings from the KLF, which was £1 million sterling, and burned it. All of it. In a giant media event. Yeah. Okay. All right, so here's the sample of The Queen and I. Hopefully.
I just want to know who's in control. Is it you or God on the bloke down the door? Her answers were shite, but I didn't give up. So I went to the Lord, but he did me wake up. So I went to the palace, good Queen Bess. She asked me to dance, said she'd like a rest. Boy, you'll be king, I'll have to get the throne. Here's the keys to the castle, you're in control.
All right, thanks. And we've got one from the KLF too, right?
It's not very long.
Okay. Yeah, so we've also got a sample from the KLF. They started to use a number of illegal samples. How come we're blank here?
They probably just pulled it while we were
Okay.
doing this.
Do you want to?
It's a very short sample.
Okay.
KLF is gonna rock you.
All right, there we go. And let's
Hold on.
get my display back up. Anyways, after the KLF, I also want to mention a band called Negative Land. Now, Negative Land is actually the band that coined the term culture jamming in the first place in the mid-'80s. And they're a group of subgenius audio hackers, essentially, who had been doing work with an hour of Slack, an original radio program produced by the Church of the Subgenius. They did something with a U2 song, and they've gotten sued all kinds of times.
This is American Top 40.
I have climbed the highest mountains, and guess what? I've run through the fields, only to be with you. Yep, with you. No one else, just you.
Here's the first Top 40 hit
And guess what?
for the Irish band from Dublin who call themselves U2.
I have run, I have crawled, I have scaled these city walls. Yeah, that's really great. I can't believe I did it, but nevertheless, I have done that for you.
That's the letter U and the numeral 2.
Only to be with you, I've done all these things. Yeah, with you. The fat one, that's it. You're the fat one, and I want to be with you.
What's the matter? Can I say, why was it changed here?
But, on the other hand, I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
That's the letter U and the numeral 2. The four-man band features Adam Clayton on bass, Larry Mullen on drums, Dave Evans, nicknamed The Edge, on... This is bullshit. Nobody cares. These guys are from England, and who gives a shit?
Oh, yeah.
Just a lot of wasted names that don't mean diddly shit.
For sure. You don't know where he's at. You don't know shit about him.
This is bullshit. This is bullshit.
Sounds like it's portable, yeah.
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
Yeah, it is quality.
Diddly shit. Diddly shit. Diddly shit.
Okay, great. So, Negative Land put out an album, in fact, entitled U2. That was one of the head singles from this, and predictably got sued. But yet, that was also part of the art. Part of what they were trying to point out is the ridiculousness of where culture says that you're not allowed to remix something. I think it's pretty clear that nobody's going to mistake that for the original U2 song. And if we can get me back up here, you go ahead and click through to the next one. Okay, I need to get my images back up. Tech support, can you help me out here? Okay, we're getting a video angel, so in the process, what I can do is move on to the last season, and that is the aftermath. That's what happens when we move beyond these categories of order, disorder, chaos, discord, confusion. Yeah, thanks, guys. And what I want to start out with here is what happens when culture jamming becomes mainstream. So this is a Cacophony Society event that started in the late 80s. Now in San Francisco, there's a huge race that goes through the city called the Beta Breakers. So it's where you are running from the San Francisco Bay to the ocean. I don't remember how long it is, but it's a big deal. Thousands and thousands of people come run through the streets of San Francisco every year. Well, a man named Rob came up with the idea that it would be hilarious to dress up in salmon costumes and run the opposite way to Spawn. This is Rob's original salmon costumes. They're not very comfortable. I did this one year. They're actually made of carpet padding. But still, it's lots of fun. You go run the opposite way, and then you do your little spawning dance, and everybody has a great time. Well, this has apparently entered the meme stream. These two just came out within the past year. There is a television commercial from Bacardi showing people running through the streets of New York in fish costumes, and this Nike billboard. So one of the things that I think is so important about Lawrence Lessig when he was talking last night about that non-commercial license is so that perhaps your art doesn't end up here. Something to think about. Not only that, but even outside of taking people's ideas, corporations have started to engage in underground media techniques. Several years ago, there was a campaign by IBM when they were trying to push their Linux servers to get people to write peace, love, Linux. They had the peace sign, the heart sign, and a little penguin. Well, it turns out that IBM actually paid taggers to graffiti this on the streets of New York and San Francisco. This did not go over so well with the municipalities when they found out about it. But it's very interesting because when we come back to the theme of the conference here, it really brings us back to who can you trust, right? If you're expecting to trust something because it's underground, because it's graffitied somewhere, that means it's cool. Well, maybe it just means that they're being paid to do it, and it's something to pay attention to. So this is the last thing that I want to talk about here, well, one of the last, is what I call the death of irony. Now, some of you may be familiar with this satirical newspaper, TheOnion.com, or just The Onion. Well, January 17th, 2001, they published this article, "Bush, our long national nightmare of peace and prosperity is finally over." This is the annotated edition that came out just a year ago with links to every single thing that has actually happened from this article. It's pretty disturbing when The Onion is prophesizing something that comes out in reality. And it doesn't just go for politics either. If you are familiar with the disposable razor industry, you might have heard of the razor wars between Gillette and Schick, two companies that are making disposable razors for men. Well, first of all, Gillette came out with the 3-blade razor because it was superior to the old 2-blade razor. And then Schick came out with the 4-blade razor. Well, about 2 years ago, The Onion published an article saying, "Gillette, fuck it, we're going to 5 blades." 18 months later, they did. So I've got some links up on my website. There's a links page. And if you come back later tonight, I will have a specific further reference for anybody here who wants to take a look at any of the groups that I mentioned or any of the people that I feel are incredibly important that I wasn't able to mention. I want to tell you a little anecdote that I heard recently. There's a television show called Dateline NBC. And they got a number of small children, 7-year-olds, right? And they were curious as to how pervasive advertising has really come into society. So they decided to try this out. They gave the 7-year-olds a choice. We have 2 cupcakes. One is a plain chocolate cupcake with chocolate frosting. The other is exactly the same but has a picture of Spider-Man in frosting. "Which one do you want?" they said. The kids chose the Spider-Man cupcake. "Because it'll taste better," they said. Dateline wasn't so sure about this, so they decided to check it out. Then they offered the kids a choice between the plain cupcake, chocolate frosting, and a banana that they'd put a little Scooby-Doo sticker on. Which one would you rather have? The kids chose the banana. So then, just to take this into the realm of absurdity, they said, okay, we're gonna see through this. So they got a giant rock, and they put a bunch of stickers on the rock. And they gave the choice between the sticker-covered rock and a banana, a plain banana. And they said, which one would you rather eat for breakfast? And the kids said, the rock. And they said, are you sure? The rock, they said. Now, it's true the kids probably weren't planning on actually eating the rock for breakfast. They probably figured that this might get them a shiny new rock with stickers. But at the same time, it really says something about the culture that we find ourselves in today. So, to sum that all up, I want to point out that Discordianism has a wide and varied history. Culture jamming is used by corporations and the underground alike. And before I end, I'd like to thank a number of people. This is also up on my website, but I'd like to thank all of you here today. I'd like to specifically thank Jacob Applebaum for getting me here in the first place. I'd like to thank the Discord Society community on LiveJournal for seriously helping me out. And my mother, God, Eris. And certainly not to mention my co-presenter, Fox, here. So I'd like to end with the last part of the Principia Discordia, the writing from Discordianism.